Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Have a few more people logging in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to be cognizant of your time. A couple of things I want to get to this morning before we open it up to general questions. First off, I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday and a good start to the new year. Hopefully you were able to take some time off, and I got a bunch of return reply messages from the link yesterday, so hopefully those that are still out of the office are enjoying themselves, and we'll be back up and running next week. So a couple of things hopefully you see on the screen here that I want to talk about this morning. The 2020 OCBF application, some 2019 FCSS documents, some information on our transition manual, and some information on county profiles. So we'll just take these step by step, piece by piece, and we'll answer questions along the way. So we are finishing up working through the state fiscal year 2020 OCBF application. The application is finished. We're still tweaking the budget page and trying to figure out the best way to get that information. So I think you've heard me mention before, if not, this is the first time, that it will be an online application via SurveyMonkey. Historically, this has been a PDF document that we have been utilizing. Right now, we're working on transitioning that to an online application that you'll be working through. So we're just trying to figure out the best way to capture information that historically were in paper forms that we're now making into online documents. So the section that we're still trying to tweak, everything else is finished, is the budget section. And we're trying to figure out whether it's easier to kind of go through. It's more of a wizard application to where you answer questions and then it builds the budget for you, or is it just simple to then have a downloadable budget sheet that you complete and then upload? So we're still trying to work through that. We're going to continue to test the budget out today as we move forward and try to make tweaks to it. So everything is set except for the budget. So we will hopefully have that ready for you. My goal is to get it to you, if not later this afternoon, then by Monday at the latest. But the application will be similar to what it was before. The first section will be contact information, which includes basically all the relevant contact information for the council coordinator, the chair, and also the administrative agent. So the first section will be the contact information. The second section will be the 2020 designation of administrative agent. And this will serve, as we talked about before, this will serve as the official designation for your administrative agent. We're trying to combine processes, so you will not have to fill out a separate AA designation. We'll take the information out of this that we need to then provide to our state partners, i.e. the Department of Development of Disabilities for your EI contracts. So we'll pull all the information out of here and get that to them, so we eliminate at least one piece of paper that you won't have to complete later on. And then the third section will be the budget summary and the application guidelines. The budget summary, as I said, we're trying to figure out the best way to do this, but the budget summary, per the requirements of the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, needs to be more specific than what it ever has been in the past. So we're trying to figure out the best way to get you to answer those questions, which would be easier. A wizard through the online application, or then just download a template, complete the template, and send it back to us. So we're still working on that. But either way, you'll have the information that you need to complete the application. You're also looking at one of the things that we're trying to figure out and working through here with the department is what information is needed. The last couple of applications, they've asked for more specific funding information about how you use the $15,750 that we provide you. But we'll have to break it down now into specific sections such as personnel, travel, equipment, and supplies. So there'll be sections that will be asking you for more specific information, including for personnel, the costs for fringe and the percentage of fringe paid, and so on and so forth. What we're trying to see is this information is probably gearing us towards a direct application into the GFMS system, if not next year, the year after, so potentially 2021. They're looking at ways in which they can incorporate our application into GFMS. So this is one of the reasons why I wanted to take a step to this year to an online application, because chances are moving down the road, if not next year, the year after, it all had to be done online via GFMS. So we're trying to take baby steps. But now we're being required to have you provide more specific information about the budget. So the budget questions will be a little bit more numerous and a little bit more specific, but we'll be providing you with guidance along the way, and guidelines, and where you can get the travel rule and everything else. So that section is a little bit more specific than what it ever has been. So that's where we're at, and then the final section is looking at the meeting dates and the attendance rates, and then the signature pages. So that's what we have right now for the applications. I said the shell and everything is built. We're just trying to finish the tweaks on the budget and trying to figure out ways in which that can be handled as easily as possible. There will be a different way to then submit those signature pages, and we'll provide that to you when we release the document. We have a new email address for our office that we'll be using for all applications moving forward. So we provide that email address to you in the written documentation, and then we'll be reviewing all of this at the regional meetings later this month. So as I said, hopefully we can get the budget thing figured out later today and get this application to you in your hands by this afternoon or the latest Monday. So any questions on the 2020 OCBF application?
Hi, Chad. This is Susan in Lawrence County. When you say Survey Monkey, I'm hearing like sit down and do it, and you got to be done with it. You can't go in and out. Is that correct?
Correct, and we will provide you with, as I'm holding it right in my hands, we will provide you with a paper template, so that way you can have all the information completed prior to sitting down and completing it.
Okay. What is the new interest in $15,750 being so itemized? That just seems ridiculous.
It's requirements that are coming down from the Fiscal Office of Mental Health and Addiction Services. They were looking at needing to strengthen internal auditing processes and procedures, and this just happens to fall underneath that.
I see. Well, it won't be hard.
So to elaborate a little bit more on Susan's questions, yes, the SurveyMonkey is you can't log in and out, but as I'm flipping through right now, we'll have a paper template that we'll provide to you, and these are all have the fill in the blanks, so you should be able to complete the paper application and then transfer it to the online SurveyMonkey without any issue. But we do recommend that you have all the information that's being requested completed in front of you prior to then filling out that application. Because as Susan is correct, once you're in, and it needs to be completed.
And what is the date going to be for this year?
The due date for this will be April. It's either April 12th or the 19th. I think it's April 12th, so it's Friday, April 12th.
Thank you.
Because we do need to get this information, specifically the AA designation, to DODD so they have it ready for the 2020 EI contracts, so they can get that AA information into their system to get those contracts created and out to all of you in sufficient time to get those completed and back into them prior to your funding starting July 1. So it'll still be due in mid-April. So you have a few months, approximately 3 months, to get this application completed and into us.
Okay. Chad?
Yes.
Hi, it's Julie in Defiance. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. So when you're talking about the administrative agent information being sent over to DD, will you give us instruction on how to do that, since we're a multi-county regional effort for the EI grant?
Correct. Usually what we'll do is as we get closer to the deadline for them to submit, I'll need to provide them with the information on multi-county contracts and who will be the lead. So probably in March, I will start sending out communications to get those counties that are interested in the multi-county contracts again, and then designate who those groups are, and then who the lead is going to be, and then I'll supply that information to DODD with our AA information, and that way all those contracts can be done at the same time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on the OCBF application? Other than the more specific budget information, everything else remains the same. We didn't make any other tweaks to the application itself, other than the budget that mental health told us that we needed to do. So, any final questions on that before I move on? Okay. Later this afternoon, we'll be sending out the state fiscal year 2019, this current year's FCSS documents. The state has been redoing a bunch of websites, and ours is included on that, and we've been asked not to put a lot of pertinent information on there because it's going to change soon. I think it was Cindy Davis that pointed out that we had not uploaded the fiscal documents for state fiscal year 2019 for FCSS, namely the expenditure tracking tool, the reporting worksheet, the needs and services tracking grid, and then separate from that, also the service coordination reporting template for this year. So we'll be sending all that information out to you this afternoon. Just so all of you have it. Some of you may have recycled from last year, and some may not have it because you're waiting for us to post it. So my apologies for overlooking that. So we will send all those documents out to you later on this afternoon. And due to some requests and some demands, we did tweak, we made some minor tweaks to the needs services tracking grid, which included adding a column on the far left-hand side to track county youth ID. So if you need to use that. And then also we tweaked the drop-down list to make it alphabetical. So those are two quests that we had from multiple counties moving forward. So we made those tweaks to that form. So if you want to use those two things, that's great. Well, if you want to use the far left-hand column for the youth ID, that's great. Let me see if I can pull it up here and put it on the screen. That way you guys can look at it and show you what I'm talking about.
Amy, are you on here? When were those changes made or added?
Okay, so here I just put up on the screen. So this left-hand column is the youth ID. So that was one of the requests to be able to more accurately track the services and supports for identified youth. Nothing has to be put here. If you just want to use it locally, that's fine as well. I would just ask you not to put full names in there. So if you just want to use a number or initials, but please, if you're going to send this to me with that column filled out on the far left-hand side, please do not put full names in there. I don't need to see those, but if you just want to do a series of numbers or initials, that's fine. So we'll send this out to you this afternoon. If you still want to use the one that you used last year, that's great as well. But this was just more of a kind of a courtesy based on a request that we received last year. So any questions on FCSS? Okay, we will move on. Next week, we did get permission. We will be posting the OFCF transition manual that our office completed for the incoming administration. This was presented, or I did present this to Leanne Cornyn. She is the new Director of Children's Initiatives under Governor-elect Mike DeWine's administration. So I did meet briefly with her before the holiday and had a really good conversation. It wasn't very long, but it was basically just more of a information finding. What are the priorities at the Cabinet Council level, who's been participating, and so on and so forth. So it was more of an information question and answer than it was let's get down and dirty into what Family and Children First is, and so on and so forth. So just trying to get the lay of the land so we can have more conversations as we continue the beginning of the new year, and specifically once Governor-elect DeWine takes office, I think on the 14th. So it was just basically a meet and greet. I had a couple of conversations with Leanne previous to the election. So this was my first conversation with her post-election. So it was a good conversation, but it wasn't a very specific conversation. But they just wanted to get a lay of the land on where we're going and try to figure out where we need to be as far as getting questions answered when they start putting the budget together to present to the General Assembly, probably in, I'm guessing, mid to late March. You may have been seeing in the press that Governor-elect DeWine has been announcing cabinet positions weekly. Another set was released last week, and which contained the first Health and Human Services appointment. Director Kevin Miller, who is the current Director of Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, will continue in his role in this next administration. But that has been the only Health and Human Services appointment made so far. We do know that there will be a new director for the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, as the current director has announced his retirement, and he will not continue into this next administration. He served the post for almost, 12 years now, 12, 14 years now, 16 years moving into it. So he was Governor Strickland's appointment, and he was through Governor Strickland's administration, and he was all 8 years of Governor Kasich's administration, and he is retiring, and he will not be pursuing this position in the next administration. So we do know that we'll have another one of those. Recently, within the last couple of weeks, Director Barbara Sears, Medicaid, has resigned and has taken a position, a private position, a temporary Medicaid director, Jim Tassi, has been appointed for the last few weeks of Director Sears' term as Medicaid director, in anticipation within the next few weeks that a new Medicaid director will be announced. So you'll see some pieces start to kind of fill in. I'm guessing you'll probably see most, if not all, of his cabinet identified prior to him taking office in about 10 days. So we'll keep you updated on that situation. So any questions on that? So we will be posting the transition manual that we supplied to the administration. We did it in 2 different ways. Dr. Hurst provided the information when he had his initial transition meeting with the incoming administration, and I presented it to Leanne Cornyn in my meeting with her a few weeks ago. So we know that it's gotten in the hands that it needs to get to, and we will post it on the website next week, and we'll let you know when it's up there. So any questions on that? Okay, and the last thing I wanted to talk about before I open up to any additional questions is, with that in mind, there were some general questions that Leanne asked about the County Family and Children First Councils. And it was thought that probably be a good idea, as we discussed it with internal staff here and with leadership, to build county profiles. So it's just basic information that we can put together and provide to the new administration coming in. So basically kind of like a database. So we'll be sending out a separate SurveyMonkey link to get some basic demographic information from your counties. So the name of the county coordinator, whether it's full-time, part-time, your involvement in Help Me Grow, who your EI provider is, are you providing home visiting services, and do you pool funding? So basically 5 or 6 questions. Basically easy questions that we just don't have a lot of general information on, that we're building these profiles for this next administration, because I do have a feeling that the incoming administration will have a lot of questions when we start to get to the specifics of Family and Children First, specifically when we talk about budgets moving forward, that we just want to make sure that we have this information handy. So we've already pulled funding information. We've already pulled the AA information, so that's already built. So the information that we don't have direct knowledge for is what we're asking you for. So it shouldn't take you any more than 3 to 4 minutes to complete. It's not a long series of questions, but it's questions that we feel that are going to be asked that we don't have answers for. So we'll send that link out to you later today as well, and that shouldn't take you more than just a few minutes to complete. Then we'll compile that information, and then we will get that to the next administration coming in to answer their questions, more specifically about the County Family and Children First Councils. Our previous conversation, my previous conversation with Leanne, has been more of the state level, cabinet level priorities, initiatives, conversations. And as we continue to move on with these meetings and these discussions, we'll get more specific about the County Family and Children First Councils, priorities, where the AAs lie, and so on and so forth. So we just want to make sure that we have that information ready to go. We have probably 3/4 of it already built and ready. We just need to fill in some of the specifics that hopefully you are able to answer for us. So any questions on that? Okay, so that's all the updates that I have for you. We have had more applications come in for TANF, so that's good. I just sent one to JFS this morning for review, and working on another application as we speak. And we have 2 more pending from counties, 2 other counties that we're working on and getting more specific information. So I think we had maybe 3 previously, and we have 4 more that we're currently working on right now. So I appreciate you getting those applications in, and hopefully we get some more of this money spent.
I have another question, Chad.
Yes, go ahead.
It's Susan. Since attendance seems to be recurring on these applications, why isn't there anything coming from the top of attendance, the importance of county agency attendance if they're mandated members? I just don't get it.
We are hoping that that will be more of a priority with this next incoming administration. We compile all the attendance information and we provide that with the cabinet each year. So we do provide that information. It is being shared. What we hope and what we think and what we hope to see moving forward is that information will become more of a priority to this incoming cabinet and this incoming administration moving forward.
Okay. Just wondered. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions about anything that I either covered this morning or haven't covered? Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and attention, and I continue to hope you have a safe and happy start to your new year, and we will see you later on this month at our regional meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.